Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to another special, fantastic episode of the Death Taxes Sports Podcast. This is a very special episode, 4 years of Death Taxes in Sports. Gary Legend has joined us here, a fellow Johnson Wells alum, and then as well as Benjamin Flannel Holloway. You guys are here. Why I call him Flannel? It's a long, 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 long story. It goes all the way back to what was that bar that we used to go to back in like 2010? What was it called in Warwick?
Tavern 12.
Yeah.
Tavern
Is
12.
that place still open?
Oh yeah, it's still alive and kicking. Mm-hmm.
Really? Oh man, I got to
Yeah.
make my way back up there. We gotta have a couple up there. But all right, we're here. 4 years. 4 years. I remember approached both of you gentlemen back in December 2021, November 2021, December 2021. I know it's been a break since we've really have done the show consistently, but screw it. We'll do it whenever we want. What does the 4 years reflect? I mean, I go on and on. But
I
Gary,
feel like
Ben,
I feel like it's just first of all, Gary, can you hear us since you're just hopping on? You're good?
No, I'm on. Go ahead.
All right,
okay.
cool. Just wanted to make sure. Glad you're here. Happy to be here with both of y'all. As far as 4 years go, I think that you live, you learn, you adapt, and I do think that it's created an outlet for all of us, as well as we can't forget Marisa, who joined us late in the journey or whatever. She wasn't there at the beginning, but she's still a part of it. She's still a big part of it, and I think for all four of us, it's one of those things that it's an outlet. We enjoy it. We enjoyed the group chat. When we're not doing the podcast, and like you said, it's our show. We do it. We'd like to do it more often sometimes, but at the end of the day, we all have lives, right? And we love that we have the ability to just do one, when we want to, and especially 4 years on top of the Super Bowl, like it's a big episode, and I think that throughout the 4 years, I think, like I said, it's been an outlet for, I think, all of us where, we all passionate about sports, all love sports. And I think that we've also developed a flow as it's gone on, that we've all just kind of gotten better as time going on, get more used to each other. So I'm glad we've done it, and we ain't going anywhere. I don't care if we did, 2 or 3 episodes since September. Doesn't matter. We ain't going anywhere. We ain't dead. We're
No,
still here,
no, no.
and we're gonna be here. So times will change, and maybe we'll start doing it more frequent and all that. But at the end of the day, this is not 4 years and goodbye, because we ain't going anywhere. So still gonna be here, still gonna be doing it, and yeah, I think it's been good for all of us. What are your thoughts, Gary?
So I've always wanted to do a podcast. It was one of those things that like I wanted to do it, but I didn't know like what to make of it, what to talk about. I knew that I've always wanted to talk sports, and the timing of this couldn't have been better because almost we're circling 5 years since my diagnosis. In 2021, I was diagnosed with MS, and I was trying to figure out like exactly you know, what's next? What I want to do, and just like take advantage of things while physically I still have the capability to do so. And then, Jeff, you approached us with the idea of the podcast, and I decided then, like, the answer's got to be yes. I want to do this. I have people that I know that know sports, are very good at that can talk about this, and I live life without regrets. And I can certainly say that Death Texan Sports falls into that category. It really is one of the best things that I've ever been a part of. And like you said, we may not do this consistently. Life happens. But the fact is, we get together, and it seems like we just did a podcast yesterday. And that's something that's very important. And any other podcast that can go on these hiatuses, they come back and it's not the same. Folks, you're getting consistency with us. You're getting four very knowledgeable people that can talk sports, speak about it from both an analytics side and from a passion side. And Ben, you nailed it at the park. We're not going anywhere. We will try to continue to do more episodes. We will try to do things more frequently, but just know that There's a reason why we call it death taxes in sports. There's consistency in that. There's all like those are the guarantees. You're always going to have death. You're always going to have taxes, and you will always have sports. And that is what I'm so proud of, and I'm proud of all four of us for getting to this anniversary.
Yeah, I just wish taxes would go away. That's all I'm gonna say. Not getting
Oh yeah, of course.
political. But no, it's shout out to Tigna. I know she couldn't make it here today. She's very much a part of this journey. Um, and her passion and energy, especially she's down for her Lions. She's down for Detroit, y'all. She's down for Detroit.
Mhm.
We kind of became pseudo Lions fans after she joined, just because of the just how horrific they've been. I mean, they have been absolute trash up until a couple of years ago. I mean, trash, y'all. I
I
mean, this
think the
was like,
I think the two most loyal fan bases in across all sports, because it doesn't matter how bad they are, the Browns and the Lions.
oh yeah, oh
They're
yeah,
they're they're there.
oh
They're
yeah,
passionate.
right.
They 0-16 don't matter. They're
They
selling
did
out.
not care. Yeah, man. I mean, that's a hard. I mean, both those towns, both Cleveland and Detroit, are just
Mhm.
blue collar, hardworking towns. Great, great people. Good food too. Got to get some of their food there. But no, 4 years. There's just so many different words that can kind of come to this, but I think this has just been like a wow journey. When you look on the litany of episodes that we've had, the different guests that we've been able to have on, the friendships that we've been able to make through Twitter, it's still Twitter, I don't care, through Twitter and so many of the other just different platforms. I mean, just the relationships and the connections that we've been able to make, I think is something that I'm going to take away from this journey. And we're not going to go anywhere. There's no guarantee as life happens that we're going to continue to do the same, that we're going to do as many episodes as we have done in the past, just because life and responsibilities and all that, people having families and joining organizations. And though some people join organizations, they make the wrong choice. But
Don't start.
um
Don't you start.
it's all good, man. I just had to do it, man. Little rivalry. But no, it's been good. But I think doing it with you two gentlemen and Tigney. But both of you guys, Ben met you at Club HE Double Hockey Six on a fall night in October 2010, and Gary meeting you, God, 2007.
Yeah.
In
Oh
what
seven.
you call his class? God, what was his name?
Dave Morris.
Dave
I was gonna say
Morris.
Dave Morris. Yeah,
Dave Morris.
we all had Dave Morris. Good old
Is
Dave
he still
Morris.
alive? Because he was
Yes,
old
he
then.
is.
He
Oh
is?
yeah, he
He is
is.
still.
Oh yeah.
I follow.
Mhm.
I'm friends with him on LinkedIn.
Yeah, me
Really?
too.
Okay. I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to look him up. Okay. But yeah,
Yeah.
cheers to another good 4 years. Can't wait to celebrate 14, 24, 34, 44. We'll still be kicking in our retirement homes. But yeah. So shout out to that, guys. So with that,
I think
shall
also the best word for me too is like if I'm gonna we play the game sometimes pick one word. I would use the word fun.
oh yeah.
Like we've had a lot of fun and we're gonna keep having fun. So that to me is the most kind of simplistic way to look at it. But we've all had a lot of fun and we're gonna continue having fun.
Definitely, definitely. I just found him on LinkedIn. There we go. I got to connect with him. Yeah, still looking, still kicking. That's good. That's good. Good for him. But anyway, um, any other thoughts, guys? Shall we get to some football? You guys ready
Now
to
I
get
was
to some
gonna, I was
football?
gonna I was gonna
Go ahead.
give you the leeway, and we're gonna talk quick on the championship games before we get to Super Bowl. So
Yeah.
obviously your Broncos were there, so we'll let you go first on the AFC.
So my emotions, really, my emotions, man. I mean, this is look, the thing is sports is not always about the best team that wins, right? I mean, we've watched sports long enough to know that at the end of the day, to win a championship in the NFL is probably the hardest thing to do. That's why you haven't had too many repeat champions in a
Hmm.
very long time, right? It's why you hadn't been the Chiefs and then the Patriots. So you're talking about a 20-year gap from like 2023, literally 20 years, I think. 2023 and 2024 to 2003 and 2004, I think it was, Ben. Correct me if I'm wrong. Um, but to win a championship is extremely hard. And at the end of the day, if you had told me the Broncos were going to go 14-3 and be one win away from going to the Super Bowl, I would have said you're crazy, right?
Hmm.
So for me, this team offensively was very average. We were anchored by a great defense, a defense that has had a historical season, probably one of the best historical seasons that we've had in Broncos history. Probably not to the level of 2016 team, but definitely pretty darn close. I think when you look at how many comebacks that we've had and how many close victories that we've had over that time,
Hmm.
um, your margin of victory, even with Bo Nix, is pretty small. Is very, very, very close. You got to remember, this is a team that almost lost to the Jets, right? If it was a last minute sack that prevented them from getting into field goal range or particularly kicking a game winning field goal. We were down
Hmm.
by 20 something points to Gary's Giants. We were down 2 touchdowns to the Eagles. I mean, we just had a litany of comebacks. So this wasn't the most dominant, most convincing 14-3 team in NFL history. If it
Right.
wasn't for
Right.
the Raiders' loss, we'd probably be honestly probably playing in their stadium. So I'm going on a tangent, but for me, I am. It's just they should have kicked that field goal. I said that
Yeah.
field goal was going to cost them the 3 points. I said you should have kicked the field goal. You don't go for it on a. You don't go for it with a backup quarterback on 4th and 1. You don't do that. And we lost because of that. Yeah, I mean that's just what it is. I mean I gotta get about my feelings. I cried a lot. But yeah, it's just that's just is what it is. I try to be very positive. And Ben, I know that you wanted to just pound it on me, but hey, I was like, hey, we're gonna win that game. Got to be positive, and I'll stop talking.
No, I feel you, man. I think that for me, I agree with you. Definitely should have kicked the field goal. But to me, when y'all got it at the 33-yard line of the Patriots, literally went backwards. Patriots had a horrible punt due to the weather, whatever. It was like 20-yard punt. Yeah, that the Patriots 33. And you didn't gain any yards. You went backwards. And then in basically impossible conditions, the field goal was way off because everybody missed field goals that game. But to me, that was it. Like you had the ball right there, 33 yards away. You didn't even make one first down. You went backwards. So that right there was, I mean, we're watching the game, the second half, the Broncos offense just could not do anything. Patriots offense barely did anything either. But once that possession happened and they walked away with 0 points, that was that. So I mean, you had Stidham, you had the weather. Patriots only won by 3. So overall, Broncos played pretty well, just overmatched, really.
Pretty much, Gary.
I mean, Ben, you laid it all out there for us perfectly. Um, I did say, patting myself in the back, that it was going to be a low scoring affair, and that was without me knowing that the weather was going to be a factor. But I just figured that defense was gonna rule the day, and it in essence it did. But the weather obviously played the biggest factor. Obviously, not taking the points when you had the opportunity to will be talked about and critiqued and criticized. I always say it like this: a franchise is when they make a decision like that, they are critiqued until they can right the ship or until they can come back and correct that. So, for Denver, they have to make this trip back to the AFC Championship. Hopefully, you have a healthy Bo Nix, by that point next season, and if you guys he can take you guys over the top. Because I do believe that if he was playing, that yes, they would have beaten the Patriots, but you know, that they would have figured out navigating through that weather in the second half, because that's really what it boiled down to. Once the second half hit, the weather was the story. It's trying to kick field goals, it's trying to make a simple 20-yard pass down the field, whatever the case may be. Like, they could not get any of that done. And, hats off to the Patriots. They did the things that they need to do defensively to get out of Denver, which was not a fun place to play at. And shout out to New England as well, because I believe they're 9-0 on the road this season,
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
counting the win in Denver. So,
correct. Yeah.
that alone is a stat that will probably be swept under the rug in the next few years, and even faster if the Patriots don't go on and win the Super Bowl on Sunday. But that's one of those, like, you look back, you may never see another team go undefeated on the road again. So this is one of those appreciated while it's there now. And if like I said, if you're Denver, you have the excuse in hand. Your best player, your starting quarterback, the leader of that team was not on the field. And we said before the game that was going to be a factor, whether we like it or not, that this was going to be the end result most likely, because that team without him lost its identity.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's boy, next year's going to be pretty exciting. That's all I'm going to say for Broncos country. It's going
I
to be
hope
exciting.
so.
It is. It is. But again, there's nothing. But the thing is, though, is that, gentlemen, we've seen this so many times, right? Nothing is guaranteed in the NFL. Nothing is guaranteed. As great as this team was, 14-3, the time was now, because next year you don't know what it's going to be. The Raiders are going to get that number one overall pick. They have $90 million in cap space. I'm not saying they're going to go and become this juggernaut all of a sudden, but Pat Mahomes and Justin Herbert are still in that division.
Mhm.
So we'll see. Maybe Von Miller needs to come out of retirement and show him how it's done.
Oh, God,
Maybe
no.
just that. Hail Von Miller. That's right. I said it, Gary. I said it. But go ahead,
Gary,
Gary.
Gary, go ahead first. We'll do high level on the NFC Championship game, and then we'll do some high hitters on the Super Bowl. But go ahead on the NFC.
Yeah, I mean, for the Seahawks, this was the Rams were was their albatross for the year. This was their getting over that hump and really proving that them being the number one seed in the NFC was no joke. It was not a fluke. Hats off to them for doing what they needed to do to hold the Rams off. And yes, there was the third quarter was the story. Yes, it was 14-14. They each team scored 14 points that quarter, but you could tell that the Seahawks were doing everything they could to put the Rams away, because they knew you give Matthew Stafford a chance, just any shot. He has Puka Nacua on the other side as his number one target, who was catching everything and anything thrown to him, and even that last pass where he couldn't get out of bounds to stop the clock. It's like those are the butt clenching plays that Seattle has fumbled through or has screwed up in the past, and this was one of those opportunities for them to take that step forward and to change the narrative, and that's exactly what they did. And for Sam Darnold, Jets fans, hey, I get it. You wanted to move on from him because he was kind of the byproduct of bad coaching, bad GMs, bad whatever you want to say, bad ownership, whatever you want. But you had to know that there was something in him that could possibly get you to this point. Minnesota, how's JJ McCarthy doing? You know what I mean? Like, these are all things. Those two franchises are looking at each other now, going, "We really let him go out the door for nothing," and now Seattle reaps the benefits.
Real quick. I just want to do a quick pause because I don't want us to forget about this story that came out about the GM with the Vikings GM.
Mm-hmm.
Just real quick. I just want to toss it to you guys. The timing of this, right? 30 seconds each. My perspective of that whole Vikings thing is that they saw Sam Darnold make it to the Super Bowl, and they decided to fire that GM now because they didn't want to do it if Sam Darnold won the Super Bowl, and there would have been all this heat. That's what I think, but there was other things that contributed to it. But I think the Sam Darnold situation was a death nail for them. Just
Ben, if I can just interject really quick,
yes,
we saw this. We saw this in the NBA with the Dallas Mavericks. They get rid of their best player. Dallas tanks. Who takes the blame? Nico Harrison, the GM. He had to go. Minnesota, they let go of their starting quarterback that led them to a 14-3 season. And yes, he had a poor game in the playoffs. There's nobody's disputing that. But you mean to tell me that he wouldn't have been better than JJ McCarthy? You think you would have been better than 9-8 if you had him as your quarterback instead? So who takes the blame? The GM. After watching him be better elsewhere. The Lakers, like you can say what you want about their record right now. Luka Doncic is the leading scorer in the league. Like, and he's balling out. So Dallas is looking at them. I know they have Cooper Flag and all that. I know I'm going off on a tangent, but in that exact moment in time, they looked at Nico Harris and went, "You screwed this up." The Vikings looked at their GM and went, "You screwed this up. Gotta go."
Yeah, to me, it's one of those things that there's always somebody who takes the fall, and a lot of times, actually, the person who takes the fall isn't even the one who's the one to blame, but somebody's got to take the fall, and they certainly weren't going to fire the head coach. So I think the GM did the GM make the final call on Darnold? Maybe, maybe not, because owners are more involved or less involved depending upon the team. There's always scouts and player personnel and stuff like that. So it's hard for me to say the GM was the one to be like, nope, we're not paying him. That's it. And everybody else in the room wanted Sam Darnold back. I don't think that's a scenario. Somebody had to take the fall. It was him. But yeah, the Vikings did drop the ball. I mean, you got Justin Jefferson, you got Addison, you got Hawkinson, you got Aaron Jones. Like, you got talent on offense. And you made too much of a gamble that they put too much faith in Kevin O'Connell and JJ McCarthy together that O'Connell could get the best out of McCarthy, vice versa. It didn't work. I mean, we can't say JJ McCarthy is this huge bust yet, but it's certainly headed that way with the injuries and in his play. So Vikings, I mean, somebody had to take the fall, and it's unfortunate that it was him, especially. I'm not going to pretend to know, how it feels, because it'll be very insensitive and very rude, but it is unfortunate, his color as well, because there's just not enough GMs and coaches in the league, and
A little.
I'll leave it there. Again, I know your perspective is way different than mine, but I still feel comfortable saying, it's unfortunate when, African American, loses their job.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't discount that. And then just one more thing, and then we'll go to you, Ben, for the unless Gary, you have anything else as far as the NFC talk. I will say though that if I was a GM and I saw Sam Darnold have the season that I would have had, the whole body of work, I would have kept them. And you're concerned about the money or whatever that you're investing in JJ McCarthy. You don't think a QB needy team could have traded him for a first round pick? Sam Darnold's only 27, 28 for God's sakes. I mean,
the NFL a long time ago created the franchise tag for literally this exact situation.
I mean, you didn't have to do it. And he signed a 3-year, $110 million deal. I mean, that's a lot of money, but that's not a lot of money compared to the market for quarterback.
It's not a lot of QB money.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway,
so back to the NFC Championship game quick. I'll just say, speaking of Darnold, it's a good transition because the end of that game, they said, Darnold, our running game isn't good enough. You need to get us a bunch of first downs. And he did. And Stafford got the ball back with, I think, 20 seconds left. Darnold, credit to the Seattle defense. It gave up a lot of points. Guess what? Everybody does against the Rams. Rams got a pretty damn good offense, future Hall of Fame quarterback. But Seattle forced to stop 3rd and 1 with about 5.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And Darnold, for the most part, killed the clock. Like I said, Stafford got it back with like 20 seconds left, and it wasn't running first downs. They were aggressive. They let Sam make plays, and guess what? Sam made plays. So credit to Darnold. He played great, and we'll see. I've been saying, we'll see if he can complete the entire career resurrection, because you beat the Rams, who had absolutely dominated you the previous year when you're on the Vikings, and the first couple games this year. And then you go back, and of course the stats are when the Jets had no talent whatsoever, but the stats are very, very ugly. It's 1 touchdown and 11 turnovers. It's really, really bad, his games against the Patriots. So if he's able to play well and win, the career resurrection is fully complete, and he's going to get an upgrade on that pay. He's going to get a better contract, whether it's now or in the future, because they structured the other thing with Seattle. Their GM, Schneider, one of the best in the entire league, and they structured that deal where I'm pretty sure there was no guaranteed money after this year. So he's very likely to get a new deal as well based on his play. So That's all I got. I mean, on the championship game, I know we got a lot on the Super Bowl, and I think it's worth dedicating a lot of time to the Super Bowl. So I'll wrap there on that game.
All right. Let's just say though, regardless of, I'm Sam Darnold, heck of a resurgence. Um,
Mhm.
this is why we love sports. You know what I mean? Like, I know we talk about over the 4 years, but I think we could all say before we like our teams, we're sports fans first. And I think as far as a good underdog story, Sam Darnold is could be the first one within that class to win a Super Bowl in the same draft class as Baker Mayfield and Lamar Jackson, a two-time MVP,
Josh
and
Allen,
Josh Allen,
Um,
right? Like, one more question, because this is also pops up in my. We got an hour and a half, so screw it. If you look at Baker Mayfield and you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, do you look at yourself and say, okay, should we start to consider other options if something better comes along? Like, how far can we go with Baker Mayfield? Uh, Just does the Sam Darnold like conundrum start to make you think, okay, Baker Mayfield's solid, but I mean, this year was a relatively down year compared. Does it make you think a little bit?
I would say, and I also think the Bucks had one of the weirdest seasons in a long time. They were dominant when everyone was like unhealthy. Then everybody came back, and all of a sudden they started losing. They got Bucky Irving back. They get Mike Evans back. They get Godwin back. They get the McMillan. They get everybody back. And instead of winning more, they started losing more. Their season was really weird. Started out 6-2. Baker Mayfield was MVP candidate, rightfully so at the time, and it just went downhill. And it's just really strange. I don't even it's got to be one of the weirder seasons for an NFL team in a while because they were playing so well with so many injuries, the receivers, the offensive line, and then the majority of those guys slowly come back, and by the end of the season, they're almost fully whole. And it was just weird, man. It was really weird. So it's hard for me to categorize, but I do think with Baker, it's like he's almost like he's basically Brett Favre. He's modern day Brett Favre. Like he's gonna take chances. He's gonna throw it into double, triple coverage. I think that I do think he's gonna win you a lot of games because that's what he does. But yeah, I don't know. It's a very good question, and I think that maybe this year is really the year, this coming year, where the Bucks are like, all right, we got to move on.
Okay, fair.
So yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah, Gary.
Honestly, I don't want to repeat exactly what Ben said, but that was literally as he was talking. I'm like, shit, taking all my points. Yeah. Literally everything that Ben just said.
Okay.
Ditto.
All right.
Times two.
Okay,
Times two.
there we go.
What Ben just said in Gary's voice.
Add an urban flair to it.
Okay. All right. There we go. I like it.
There we go.
Okay. All right. Let's get to some of these X factors for these Patriots, and then we have Seattle. Obviously, this one for the Patriots, their offense score more than 10 points. You're not going against a backup quarterback, and you're not going against CJ Stroud, who literally wanted you to win.
Yeah, that was.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you. They got a really lucky road. They got real lucky to get to where they got. I mean, again, not taking anything away from them, but they had the easiest road to the Super Bowl probably in a very long time. I mean, CJ Stroud literally, as you're saying, Ben, it was helping them win. He's like, here, win this game for me. Win it, please.
Out of the for memory's sake, for the people watching and who will be watching, CJ Stroud 4 interceptions, 3 of them. I cannot credit the Patriots defense. I can't. Like it's Stroud's fault completely, 100%. Like he's literally gifting it to them. So that's for reference what you're saying. Continue on.
So offensively, they're gonna have to get a little bit more dynamic. It's the whole offensive core. Drake May has not played the greatest this playoffs. He has not played to the level that this offense has kind of sputtered towards like the last 3 or 4 games of the season. They've been kind of limping. And I think that's why they're 4.5 point underdog in this game. So for them, I think Henderson is going to have to
Travion Henderson, yeah.
Travion Henderson is going to have to get at least 25 touches in this game. He is the better running back than Ramondre Stevenson. I don't know why they're continuing to use him. He doesn't offer the type of dynastic play that Travion Henderson does. And quite frankly, that receiving core that is very mid, Stephon Diggs, this is your moment, buddy. You're going to have to show up and show what, this is your moment. And I think it's really the whole offense. I can't sit here and say one individual, but it's going to start and end with Drake May, of course. And they're going to have to convert. They're going to have to convert on third downs consistently, move the ball, and good field position. I think that's what it's going to take because against this defense, I do not think that they have the type of offense to where they can go and do 3 or 4 60, 70-plus yard drives on that defense.
Yeah, the Patriots offense, like most offenses, do not have the talent the Rams offense does. I mean, a lot of teams give up 20-plus points to the Rams, so you cannot really hold anything against Seattle for that. They made the stop at the most important time. As far as the Patriots go, like, I do agree, like, their defense has been, yes, have they gotten lucky breaks 100%? Chargers battle line the entire year. Obviously Texans we talked about, and then going against a QB that had not thrown a pass in over 3 years. That counted, which, by the way, small pet peeve. I hated that people kept saying 2 years. I was like, January of 23, January of 26, that's 3 years. Like the entire week, everyone was saying 2 years. I'm like, guys, it's 3. It's not hard math, but that's besides the point. So, yes, the Patriots defense has played really well. Both things can be true at the same time. You still have to play the game against who's out there. So they still have to play the game. And we've seen over time, different sports, you take an opponent lightly and, you let a team do more than they should and whatever. To their credit, the Patriots defense have been like, no, you're not doing anything. Like, you're not doing anything. They've only allowed, I think it's 26 points. So yes, they've had good fortune, let's say, but you still have to take advantage of that. So to me, it's like you still got to give them a little bit of credit while also acknowledging all the other stuff that we have. I think for the Patriots, it's kind of like I do like the Henderson thing because I also think, like, have they been intentional on not using him as much for the purposes of Seattle maybe not getting as much film on him?
I think it's just injury concerns, honestly.
Maybe. Yeah, but at the same time, I don't understand why Henderson didn't get the ball more this entire season. So it's hard for me to be like, well, maybe they're just saving him. It's like, saving him for what?
So
he's 20 years old. 20. I mean, can't be older than 22.
Just real quick, just because I had him in Thunderdome. Rest in peace, Thunderdome. Travion Henderson, there was a 3-game span when Jamondre Henderson wasn't playing.
Stevenson was down. Yep.
Yeah, the dude was averaging about, like, again, don't quote me specifically, but the dude was averaging about 85 to 90 yards a game. Okay,
I mean, more than that.
Yeah, again, you can't give, because of injury concern, you can't give him a heavy workload. But this is the game where you say, screw the workload, bro. Like, we're trying to win a Super Bowl. You're getting 30 carries. That's the game. He's a better running back. He adds another element to this offense that Stevenson, quite frankly, doesn't. Didn't mean to interrupt, guys.
No, you're good. I think it's a good point. But correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff. Does he have the chance to win back-to-back, right? Meaning, like,
Ohio State won a national title.
Ohio State won last year, right?
Yeah, with those Ohio State Buckeyes. Yeah,
win two titles in a row. That would be.
Yeah, I know it's going to make Tickney very happy. Go Buckeyes. But yeah, pretty much. Anything else on the X factors for the Patriots before we go to Gary?
We'll let Gary chime in on that.
I mean, you guys have focused on the offense with New England. I'm going to focus on the defense. Obviously, having a solid defensive mind like Mike Vrabel certainly helps. But their man defense seems to be like tops in the league, and I think that's where they're going to pay dividends as far as like being able to go up against JSN or Rashid Shaheed and everybody on Seattle's offense. I think you got Milton Williams, who is the next factor there. What's the guy from the secondary? Gonzalez.
Christian
Christian,
Gonzalez.
thank you. And Carlson Davis. Those are guys, and Marcus Jones. They're going to be huge factors. If you see a slowdown in Seattle's offense, they're going to be the reasons why right there. And I think as long as Vrabel's able to keep the pressure on Sam Darnold, which we've seen in the past, if you can get Sam Darnold to see some ghosts, then you know it's going to be a good night for you. So I think that defense is going to have to roll the day for them. Yes, you have Ramondre Stevenson, you have Henderson. You know, Drake May is Drake May. He's playing well, and I think if it wasn't for the season that Matt Stafford had, I think Drake May would be your MVP this year. But yeah, I'm leaning more towards if the Patriots win this game, their defense is going to be a large factor as to why.
I like it. Yeah. And those two big dogs up the middle, in the Barmore, you said the other guy's name, Milton Williams. Barmore and Milton Williams, and big right in the middle. They're not hiding; they're right there, and they've been absolutely
hide them.
Very dominant. And then those two have been, because ask any, you hear it, analysts say named Dan Orlovsky, former quarterback, say it. Quarterbacks pressure, where is it the hardest to deal with? Right up the middle.
Right.
That's where the Patriots are getting pressure. So that's when that is definitely a big point and a good call out there, Gary.
Awesome. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, guys. Going to be super, super fun. What do we got up next, gentlemen? We got so many good topics here. I'm like losing track because we got so many fun and exciting things here. So we got
Seattle. You go over the X factors for Seattle.
Yes.
Yeah, Gary's leading the way with X factors for Seattle.
I mean, I know I talked about the Patriots defense slowing down Seattle's offense, but that's three-headed monsters they have over there in Seattle with JSN, with Cooper Kupp, with Rashid Shaheed. Like, pick your poison, almost. Like, and I think for them, it's a little bit asinine and a little bit like duh for me saying it. They're going to have to outscore New England. They're just going to have to continuously. I think they're going to have to keep putting up points. They're going to have to overwhelm them to the point where, you got to make Drake May look like the second-year quarterback that he is. Like I mean, again, Seattle's defense is not New England's, but they're not any slouches or anything over there either. So for them, sorry, I'm going all over the place, but going back, the X factor really is the three-headed monster there with their wide receiving core. If that offensive line can give Sam Darnold time to read his routes, read his receivers, and see where they're going, he's going to have a field day. You're going to see the good Sam Darnold. This is the fear for Seattle fans. You need the good Sam Darnold for one more game, just for 60 minutes more.
Yep.
He's an X factor in and of itself, because are you going to see the Darnold that could have made the argument for MVP, or are you going to see the Darnold that got sent out of New York in a heartbeat?
Facts.
Yeah, that's, and I will say that Vrabel, being, he wasn't a coach obviously, but he played under Belichick for a long time. It's hard for me to say that JSN is going to have this huge game. I just don't see it happening because he spent so much time with Belichick. Like JSN, he's an excellent player. The Seattle offensive coordinator has schemed the entire year for him to get open because everyone's focused on him. But I think that JSN isn't going to have this 100-yard game. If he can make a couple of big catches and they can get him a couple, get him good opportunities. But Belichick, I feel like Vrabel spent so much time with Belichick. If Seattle wins, it's not going to be because JSN goes for over 100 yards. I just think that they're going to limit him to an extent. And then it's going to be on, Cooper Kupp, Shaheed, and you guys, not you guys, but America might know the name Barner. of course, I can't think of his regular name, right? His first name, Barner, on the Seattle Sox, the tight end. Let me get his first name. Let me do him justice. Come on. Tight end, AJ. There we go. AJ Barner. I think he could have a really big impact on this game because I think that there will be more focus on the wide receivers, and Barner has become more and more of a weapon in the passing game. I think that Barner could actually have a pretty big game, and more people are going to know that name after Sunday, in my opinion.
You know what? Tom Brady said about JSN was talking about how his route running is like ice skating. And he made a very awesome analogy as far as his shoulders and how his shoulder stays with his body and how they don't jump up and down. And that's like the type of analysis that like I geek out on because I think that I mean I still think Tom Brady's trash as an announcer, but I'll give him prop for that one statement. Ben, I know how much you admire his gameplay announcing.
Well, I will say that game did shift my thoughts a little bit because
Really?
yeah, a little because that specifically, but then also it's like, and he is trying way less to be like a commentator. He's trying, and he said this in quotes I saw like after the fact. He's just trying to approach it like as the quarterback and add these little nuggets from the knowledge that he had. He's adjusted. He was trying, and he said this. I was reading this somewhere. He was trying way too hard. He was preparing like crazy, had like notes and notes of paper, and was like trying to like go to that paper rather than just watch it and react with the football mind that he is. And that's the shift that he made. And he's definitely better. That game kind of shifted. I can say he's, this amazing commentator, but that game did shift my opinion a little bit where there is a lot of knowledge that he has that frankly not many humans have. so he's bringing a little bit more interesting. Yeah, I got a little off topic there, but Brady I think has definitely evolved and gotten better in that game. Kind of, I did pay attention a little bit more because the wonderful person who is watching Snap Judgments is who I will be on his podcast tomorrow morning. He's a friend from a while ago, Randy. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for commenting. He kind of was like, you should pay a little bit more attention to Brady. And I did. I was like, yeah, he is a little, yeah, I can stand him. No, but my opinion did switch after that a little bit.
Okay. Hey, I respect that. Seattle is I think JSN is going to go off in this game. Honestly, I think he's my prediction to be a Super Bowl MVP if they win this game. To be completely honest with you, I just think that he is just so pivotal to that offense, just because of the lack of running game by Seattle.
I missed who you said. That's why I'm interrupting you. Who did you say?
I said I have JSN is going to win Super Bowl MVP.
Okay.
And I think he's going to have over 120 yards. I think he's going to go off in this game. I think he is going to be the reason why they win this game. He's just that good, and he is elevated. And the last thing I'll say on him is that I think that he would have never been this great if DK Metcalf was still there.
Yep.
I think that when there's certain instances, it's like when James Harden left OKC to go to Houston, or even something as small as seeing Dylan Brooks with the Phoenix Suns right now, where there are certain situations where you get from behind the shadow of certain players, you blossom. And I think that we're just kind of seeing like this renaissance of JSN, like, you know what? I am that guy, I am that dude, and I'm him. And I think he's going to show up. So that's all I want to say on that.
He's talented enough to do it. That's for damn sure.
Yes, definitely. So, Ben, take it away, good sir.
So we're going to go kind of position by position for the most part. And I'm going to make this as conversational as we can because quarterback is the most important position. That's kind of where we're going to start. And, I mean, you got Drake May, who's top 2 MVP candidate. I think that I know it's like Stafford is like a lot of times people are going to say if he wins it, it's because of like this career achievement award and all that. And it's like, well, it's 15 more touchdown passes. That's almost 1 per game more. That's a little bit too much of a gap where Yeah, Stafford does absolutely nothing running wise, nothing at all. And May had, I think, over 300 yards rushing and 4 or 5 rushing touchdowns. So May adds way more rushing than Stafford, but the difference of the 15 touchdowns, I think, is more so why Stafford's going to win MVP over May. But point blank period, May is top 2 MVP candidate. He has not played well in the playoffs, but the body of work between May versus Darnold, Drake May is the better quarterback, I would say, right now, and has had a better season. Now, if we're going to look at just smaller sample size, who's played better in the playoffs, the answer to that would be Darnold. But I'm looking at it as a whole. I think Drake May is the better quarterback. Thoughts, gentlemen?
Anything on that one, Gary? You go ahead.
I mean, it is a really intriguing matchup because you know you look at, like you said, you laid it out there. Sam Darnold was what people thought. Sam Darnold this season was what most people thought Drake May would be ultimately, or vice versa. Like however you want to put it, there's a little bit of there before the grace of God go I between the two of them because Sam Darnold was the guy. He was supposed to be. He was the top quarterback picked in that draft, I believe, that year, or no, it was Baker Mayfield. But either way,
Baker Mayfield was the top.
Mayfield and Jets.
either way, he was
at 3, I think.
he was
Yeah.
a top quarterback picked
Absolutely.
outside of the number one pick. So there was that hype and that anticipation that maybe that this guy can be the guy to get us over the hump. And I know I talked before about how the Jets gave up on him and everything. They did what the Patriots wouldn't do with Drake May. He had an awful first season. They realized it was the coaching. They realized everything like that they had to build around him to get him to where he is. And he looks like the real deal. He looks like he's going to be a problem in the AFC for years and years and years to come. It's going to be like him, Bo Nix. You throw out, Mahomes is always going to be the guy lurking about. Trevor Lawrence, he's going to. Bo Nix is taking. Drake May is taking that step to be included in that conversation and not be silly. And I think this game will go a long way in establishing him as a quote unquote future legend in the league. For Sam Darnold, this will help erase the years of, oh, he's good, but, or, he'll never get your team to a certain place. A win on Sunday erases all of that and will allow him to, I think, almost breathe a little bit. Like just have that like, hey, I got one. I got one before Lamar. I got one before Josh. I got one before Baker. I got to the promised land before all three of these quarterbacks who you said was going to be that much better than I was. So for him, I don't want to call without question, and it's pretty obvious the Super Bowl is a must-win game. It's the last one. But for legacy purposes, I think that Sam Darnold needs this a lot more than Drake May does because there's more room for the Patriots and Drake May to build and go on. A loss by Seattle, like then the questions are going to start. Is this the guy? Is he going to be one of those guys that gets you to this point but can't get you over it, or are you going to regress back to the average? So for me, that's the biggest factor as far as the quarterback play is. Like, this is a legacy game for him versus for Drake May. It would just be building a resume and becoming that X factor in the AFC that will last for years and years and years to come, a la Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, the legacy thing is very, very, very important. And oh snap! I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit that. Drake May, it's only his second year, and yeah, we could always say he has a lot of time to make it to another one. But as I've said many times before, and I'm sure we all can agree, nothing is promised next season. and there's no guarantee that he'll ever get to another one again, right? We said about Joe Burrow back in 2020, the 2022 season when they made it to the Super Bowl. We thought, okay, hey, he's going to make it to a couple more Super Bowls. Well, he's been injury prone and hasn't played a full season. So for him, he's got to capitalize on this opportunity. But what I will say is that for Sam Darnold, he's he's probably not going to be a Hall of Famer, but for him to win this Super Bowl, it will.
Mhm.
You can't say anything about him anymore. It's not even about Hall of Fame right now because he's not going to be Hall of Fame, in my opinion. I think it's about, can you just do it one time? There's nothing else that you could say. He could never ever win another Super Bowl again, but to go from, to get cut from the Jets to going to Carolina to going to San Francisco, then to go to the Vikings, and then to have this resurgence of a career, right? 28-6 in the regular season the last 2 years. He's the only quarterback in the last 10 years to have back-to-back 14-win seasons, right? And then to be able to cap it off with the Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely.
He
Yeah.
may he may be the greatest journeyman quarterback of all time after all this. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, it's I mean, I'm sorry, y'all. I just got to say, whoever put that Drake passed Bo a long time ago, I'm sorry. The level of disrespect is something real. Respectfully, Ben, I know that's your boy, but come on now. Come on. He hurt his foot because the Bills cheated and broke his leg. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. There's collusion. Kidding. Um, but yeah, so I'm rooting
Hey,
for.
at least we can say he stayed, consistent. Consistency is key. We love you, Jeff.
Yeah. No, it's all good. It's all good. Thanks for joining, buddy. But yeah, no. So we'll let's get serious now. But yeah, that's all I got on that. That's all I got. I'm gonna stop
So
talking. What else we got, Ben?
I started with the offense intentionally. So next we're going to go to wide receiver group, and this is actually close because you got obviously top three for Seattle would be Jackson Smith Najigba. JSN had to say his full name once just to give him credit. So Jackson Smith Najigba. Then you got Cooper Kupp, Rashid Shaheed. New England kind of has four, let's say, because you have Diggs, you have Pop Douglas, you have Booty, and you have Pop Douglas, Booty, and Matt Collins. That's a foursome really of receivers that they can lead towards compared to Seattle's fourth, although their fourth has made a big play a couple weeks ago. Jake Bobo also has a really cool name. But as far as the depth goes, I'd have to say New England with a slight edge at wide receiver. But overall, because the difference between Jackson Smith Njigba and Stephon Diggs is relatively wide, not huge, but JSN led the league in receiving yards with all the double coverage and triple coverage that he gets. So the difference between him and Diggs is enough for me to say, yeah, New England has better depth at receiver, but I would give a small edge to Seattle. But wide receiver groups is pretty even to me. It's a really tight contest. Jeff, why don't you go first on that, and Gary chime in afterwards?
It's kind of even for me personally. Like, I could kind of go, like, honestly, like, I could go either way because I feel like outside of JSN, like, I feel like it's kind of. But if I had to pick a side, I'll go Seattle, but not by much, honestly. Just because I feel like with JSN, it's like him, and then there's like everybody else. But I feel like his greatness, like he's great, but I don't feel like he's ascended to the level of greatness consistency to where he can like erase out all the other average receivers by Seattle. So I kind of I kind of keep them. It makes sense, like what I'm saying. Like it's like I'm just not ready to say that like Seattle's receiving core is so superiorly, or not even, that's not even a word. But for the sake of argument, I'm gonna go Seattle, but not by much, honestly.
I'll agree with you on Seattle, but I think I can say it this way: Jackson Smith and Jigba is the only one of these wide receivers that we've mentioned that was a legitimate MVP candidate this season. I think if it wasn't such a quarterback-driven league, there could be an argument for him. I'm not saying that he would win it, but there could be enough of an argument for him that in any other era, any other time where the quarterback wasn't the primary focus, it wasn't so valued as to each franchise. JSN was the only one that I could see like getting MVP votes. So for that reason, I say that that's where Seattle has the slight edge. Running game, I would have said Seattle to that too, but with Charbonnet being out, I'm gonna lean towards the healthier option in New England, and then uh, tight end. Hunter Henry's an enigma. Like there are some times which I'm like he should be a top 10 tight end in the league, but hell, I haven't looked at his stats. He might be, but it feels like he's like 10 on that top 10 list. Like there's a room for him to stand out and dominate, and he just truly hasn't done anything, in my opinion, in my view, that makes me go, okay, he's going to be a huge factor. So I'm going to go towards Seattle, but that's only because I need Hunter Henry to wake up.
Yeah, the running backs, it's that one was relatively easy because, like you said, the Charbonnet injury just totally tilts it to New England there. I think that one could have been just a complete wash if both Charbonnet was healthy. But Henderson and Stevenson are better than Charbonnet and this guy Milani that nobody knew of before the NFC Championship game. So running backs, I think it's pretty clear. Tight end, I also think, yeah, Hunter Henry, and then they have a Austin Hooper, who still exists and still plays, doesn't make that many plays.
God bless him for even still playing in the league.
But
Austin Hooper,
he's
God bless
him. Yeah, he's good. He just doesn't really get opportunities. But they technically have two tight ends, I would say. But the AJ Barner for Seattle, he's been coming up big, and I think overall the matchups for both offenses, I think both tight end groups could actually have big games because I think that's where the mismatches are offensively. But just because Henry and Hooper, I give a slight edge there on the New England for tight end. But Jeff, go ahead and weigh in on the tight end situation, and then I want to talk. I'm going to talk O-line.
Tight ends? You're asking me about tight ends? That's what we're talking about now. That's what we're going to, Ben. Tight ends.
That's
tight ends.
That's what we're talking about.
I mean, it's like you have no opinion. It's like
you have no opinion.
Fantasy football. It's just like tight ends. No. I really don't got much to say, man, because it's like tight end. It's like Hunter Henry. I feel has had a sneaky good season, but unless you're like a what's his face, the homeboy with Brock Bowers, or a younger Travis Kelce, I just think in the longer picture, I just feel tight ends are kind of becoming obsolete, in my opinion. Unless tight end, but no, I'll go with the, I'll go, but to answer the question, I will go with the Patriots because I feel Hunter Henry has been more effective.
There you go. And so
yes, it's really bad. Yes, I agree. It's really bad, but I don't know what you want from me, guy. What do you want?
So offensive line, before we move to defense. So offensive line in the regular season, 47. Now, sacks are not entirely an offensive line thing. We all know that. We're all knowledgeable enough to know that. But there was quite a discrepancy in sacks between the two. So the regular season, 47 sacks on May, 27 on Darnold. So that's 20 difference, about 17 games. So it's almost an average of slightly more one per game. May got sacked a little bit more than once per game than Darnold. The playoffs, now granted, the Patriots have faced some crazy good defenses, like really, really good defenses. But in 3 games, they've allowed 15 sacks, 5 sacks each game. It might be the first time ever a team has allowed 5 sacks consecutively, 3 straight playoff games. Seattle has allowed 4. They've played 1 last game. So in 2 games, they've allowed 4 sacks. I know sacks are not the entire story on offensive line. And I know there's also running running stats with the offensive line and stuff, but I'm going to give a slight edge to Seattle just based upon those sack numbers. And I think that I also think, although he's a rookie, although he still could have a bright future and may involve switching positions, let's just call it like it is. Will Campbell has been a liability in the playoffs. And are the Patriots aware of that? 100%. Will they do everything possible to try and help him? Absolutely. But he has been a liability in the playoffs. So I have to give the offensive line edge to Seattle. That's just where I'm at with it.
No disagreement from here. So
None here either.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I consider and decipher it, but Ben, you've done a good job, sir. Your medal will come in the mail. Probably never, but
All right, we're flipping the defense now, and we'll get to the special teams as well. But we're flipping the defense and start with the D line. And this was another one, man. This was not easy. It was not easy at all because you got two defensive lines playing really, really well. I mean, we talked about Christian Barmore and Milton Williams in the middle. And then you got on the other side, Brian Murphy and DeMarcus Lawrence, who, yeah, he leaves the Cowboys. The next season he's in the Super Bowl. So get that joke out of the way. And Jackson Smith-Njigba has a Cowboys tattoo. So we got a former Cowboys player. We got a Cowboys tattoo. Anyways, it's enough on the Cowboys. But Byron Murphy and DeMarcus Lawrence compared to Barmore, Milton Williams, I think that a slight edge to the Patriots because of how dominant that Barmore and Milton Williams have been specifically in the playoffs. So defensive line is another one where, to me, could go either way, but I'm going to lean slightly Patriots because Barmore and Milton Williams have been on another level in the playoffs. Jeff, thoughts?
To me, it's always about not always trying to get a sack, but who can create more havoc on the defensive line. I can't sit here and say that I'm the most educated on the defensive line this season, but I think statistically, and I've watched a lot of Seattle games. Surprisingly, I've actually suffered through a couple Patriots games this year. And yeah, I got to say, like, I think I just feel like Seattle's defense, they do a better job, again, just from watching. They do a better job of clogging the lanes and making it very difficult to run against them. And so I think their pass rush could be a little bit better, but that's just my opinion. Just a guy with an opinion, and I also don't want to give the Patriots any props because they beat my Broncos. So I'm going to go Seattle. Yeah, if it's biased, what are you going to do? Huh?
Well, I don't think. I mean, I get it. It's biased on your end, but let's be honest. I just looked it up. Seattle's scoring defense, number 1, pressure rate, 4th, first in yards rush per rush allowed. Like, meanwhile, New England, while they've improved, they're 30th in overall pressure rate during the regular season and hadn't done much of the 4-man rush in the playoffs. So, just if we're going off of numbers alone, Seattle's defensive unit's got it tenfold.
Yeah. Linebackers, though, I would say there's an edge for the Patriots there because between Patrick Spillane, and Harold Landry, linebackers, the Patriots got an edge, but I don't think there's really much to say there. But I think the secondary is much kind of closer as far as, we're combining corners and safeties. Christian Gonzalez, along with, Pat Surtain, are probably the 2 top corners in the entire league, cover corners and overall corners. So I think that Christian Gonzalez is the better corner compared to both teams, but just if we're looking at the entire secondary, I think the depth, I'd give a slight edge to Seattle there.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers don't lie. I mean, but this is going to be a good matchup, though. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, the Patriots are going to have – I just feel they're going to have – we're not going to give the predictions yet, but I just feel like the Patriots are going to have a very hard time moving the ball against this Seattle defense. I just don't, the way that their offense has been playing. We could be wrong, but you can't just turn on offense efficiency like by snap of a finger. That's something you have to build up, and just recently these last several games they just have not been playing that good offensively. Honest, just to be honest, man. So it could be pretty ugly. It could be pretty ugly. 56-3 ugly, but we'll see. You never know. I mean, I'm just saying. Just saying. But do we have any other matchups, Ben, that you wanted to get to before we
I'll
move
go
to the
quick.
Super Bowl
I'll
talk?
go quick on special teams and head coach. Special teams, there's a big difference at field goal kicker, like a really big difference. Borgalis is a rookie, and it doesn't have to do with him being a rookie at all. But Seattle's kicker Jason Myers led the NFL in total points. Has been a very good player for Seattle the entire year. And Borgalis, they have not allowed him to kick many 50-yard field goals. They haven't even wanted him to kick 50-plus yard field goals. So the difference between the field goal kickers, because does that play a role? It certainly could, but there is a wide gap there. But we also have excellent return players on both teams. Marcus Jones for the Patriots and Rashid Shaheed for Seattle. So they're both punt returners and kick returners could be definitely could play a role in the game, but I think there is a huge gap at field goal kicker. So that's special team summary. Head coach, I got to give a slight edge to variable. The name Ryan Tannehill mean anything to anyone here?
Oh, that's easy. Yeah,
Right.
definitely the Patriots.
Ryan Tannehill played in the AFC Championship game. Vrabel was the coach. Now, yes, of course, they had Derrick Henry, but Ryan Tannehill has never sniffed an AFC Championship game. And Vrabel got him there, one win away from the Super Bowl. So I think there's a head coaching edge to Vrabel. There you go. You want me to wrap up special teams head coach? There we go. So
there you go. No, yeah. I mean, head coach Vrabel. I mean, the man literally has taken over. I know there's going to be some changes with that team, but I mean, he essentially took over maybe 75% of the same team that went 4-13. Again, 75. I know there's a lot of turnover, but he took over that team and took them to a Super Bowl. I mean, this is not a Patriots team that is like a juggernaut offensively, and the work that he's done has just been absolutely amazing. And I think he should win Coach of the Year if it's not for Sean Payton. I mean, no, I'm serious. I think he should win if it's not Sean Payton. He could come into a close fifth. I mean, he's just done an amazing job. He's done an amazing, superb job.
By the way, the Patriots, the coaching, let's just say NFL might be coaching matters more than the other sports just because there's so many players.
Oh, yeah.
And they absolutely nailed the head coach and OC. To me, the two best signings any team made the entire offseason, players and coaches, the two most impactful was Vrabel and McDaniels to me. They slammed both of them out of the park.
I think it's going to make the Titan situation very interesting because that coaching room has a lot of experience. And it's going to be good experience. Not all experience is good experience, but with Salah and Dayball and who they got a defensive coordinator and special teams, there's a level, I'm not going to say too high, of competence in that room. Say what you want about Dayball as a head coach. Mm-hmm. As an offensive mind, he's going to do some wonders. So I look forward to seeing what's going to happen in Nashville. That's all we'll say about the Titans. Anyway, Gary?
I mean, really, so we're talking about the coaches at this point, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Quick. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Vrabel comes from the Belichick tree. Exactly how many of Belichick's coaches at Phone have turned out to be massive successes besides Vrabel? Don't worry, I'll wait. It's a real short list. I look at it like this. I look at Bill Belichick in the same way I look at Phil Jackson, in the sense that just because you're a great coach doesn't mean that your assistant coaches make to be great coaches. In this case, Vrabel is a former player, so it's kind of like the exception to the rule, and that's why everybody's kind of going, okay, we can see this happening. And I think having somebody that in tune with his players, because he's done that, he's had his hands in the dirt and has done it, is a huge factor. I happen to think that there is a certain level of genius with Mike McDonald as well. Um, in Seattle. So you look at what he's done with Darnold and help to like help to further revitalize his career and keep this renaissance that started in Minnesota going. I mean, it's almost a push between the two, but I'm going to lean towards Vrabel in the sense only because, unlike Seattle's coach, New England's coach has actually played in this game several times and knows what it takes to win this particular football game.
I respect it. Ben, let's kind of get this thing going as we are kind of getting into the final home stretch. Let's get to the Super Bowl, to the what we got the Super Bowl. Take
Let's just
care.
make let's just make some predictions. And Gary, I think you got something to end with. I got a couple things to end with, so we can go round table on the predictions. I will lead the way because I think I'll be the only one to pick this way. I can't. Oh man, I really do not hope that this happens, but I think, and this is going to lead to my last thing, but I'm going to just save the rest for the rest. I'm going to say 27-24 Patriots.
Okay. You feeling okay? Okay. All right. Hey, I respect it. I respect it. You're a traitor to your friends, but it's okay. It's okay. All right. I'm not mad. No. Gary?
I'm going to give you two scores. I'm going to say New England 17, Seattle 13, or Seattle 38, New England 27.
Ooh,
okay. All right.
I think that if Sam Darnold is able to go off early, it's going to be a high scoring game for them. If New England's defense is the one that leads in and kind of bogs down everything, as they could possibly, then it's going to be a low scoring affair like we saw in Denver. I'm more inclined to believe that we're going to see the higher scoring affair, and we're going to see Seattle exact some revenge on New England for what happened 10 years ago, even though there wasn't a single player on either team playing in that game 10 years ago. But 11 years ago, whatever it was, 11, sorry. But the point is, I think I'm going to lean towards Seattle to help establish the legacy of Sam Darnold and what he could be viewed as going forward. So I'm going to lean towards Seattle in a high-scoring affair.
Okay. I respect it. I don't think it's going to be like a full-on butt spanking, but I definitely think it's going to be like, I'm going to go Seattle 30-20. I think that I think Patriots are competent enough to still keep it close, and I think Seattle's going to pull away by 10, 30-20, and that's what I got. So keep it very, very, very simple. All right, gentlemen, we're kind of getting to the home stretch here on our 4-year anniversary special. Who wants to go first as far as, I don't know how we're going to do this, rock, paper, scissors? I don't know.
Gary, I know you got one good one. Why don't you lead it? Why don't you lead it?
Okay. I think this one's a little appropriate considering the month that we just started. But, Black History Month is upon us. You look around the NFL coaching carousel from this past season, there were 10 job openings. 10, which is damn near a record that we haven't seen before, we may not see again. Would anybody like to take a guess as to how many minorities were hired as a head coach in this last cycle of all 10 jobs? Jeff, what do you, if you know the answer, don't say. But does anybody want to take a guess? Jeff, you want to take a guess?
I mean,
10 jobs. So
10.
It's just Salah. That's it.
that's it.
There you go. I mean,
So I know because I just saw on ESPN that they want to take another look at the Rooney Rule. The Rooney Rule is a damn joke.
yeah.
We've been over this. Like you have to come up with something better than that because there are people that are going to clearly be able to circumvent this rule because they got through. And yes, I know teams did their due diligence, but you can't tell me that we went from, if I'm not mistaken, it was either 2022 or 2023, where we had 8 coaches of color in the NFL, head coaches of color in the NFL. We're going to be entering 2026 with just 3. And we could get down to 2 based off of how well the Jets play this upcoming season.
Yeah, probably October. That'll probably be down to 2, unfortunately.
So I'm saying, like, if you're the NFL, how serious are you? How serious are you in diversifying your coaching field? Because I feel like we're going backwards at this point, and this is not. I feel like I'm not going to be political and say as a nation we're going backwards, but as a league, the NFL is definitely going backwards in terms of its diversity hires and everything like that. And really, the onus is on Roger Goodell and the owners to take a look at the Rooney Rule, really reestablish it or really enforce it, and provide tangible, credible punishments for those who violate it. Because right now, it just feels like, hey, you violated the Rooney Rule, and then they move on.
Yeah. And just a response to that too, there are ways around it because I'm a Cowboys fan and he did well his first year, I would say, given everything that happened. But he was on the staff, and there's some weird loophole where basically Dallas didn't interview any head coach because of some loophole where he was on the staff for a certain amount of years, and the Patriots did the opposite actually when Gerard Mayo was the head coach, and I think we would all agree he deserved to be fired, unfortunately, but he also deserved the opportunity. But the Patriots did kind of the same thing. There's some loopholes in there that smart enough teams are aware of it. I know the Cowboys didn't interview like anyone. They interviewed Schottenheimer, gave the job to Schottenheimer. That's it. Now, like there's things that are true. Like it just the Rooney Rule was a great idea 20 plus years ago. I think it was a long time ago. They basically have not made any changes to it at all. And that like you gotta you can't have something in place for so long and there's literally like no changes at all.
It's to your point, Ben, the Rooney Rule is established. Yeah, yep. Sorry, just to your point, the Rooney Rule is established in 2003.
Yeah,
so 23 years. And what was a good idea at the start has now disintegrated into a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah. Honestly, man, like it almost becomes like a joke when these teams on Twitter page, like we've interviewed so and so for the head coaching job. It was like I think it was like 2 years ago. I forgot which team it was. I think it was Jaguars. I think it was the Jaguars or I don't remember which team it was, but they posted that we interviewed assistant special teams coach so and so for the head coaching job. And I'm just like, damn well you're not gonna hire that man for that head coaching job.
And by the way, sorry to interrupt you, but there should be one African American coach that still has a job because Raheem Morris should have never got fired.
No, but I'm glad he bounced back, got the D coordinator job in San Francisco. I'm glad he did, but he's going to get a head coaching job again. Maybe not this site. Maybe not that. Probably in 2 years, I think he'll get another head coaching job because I think that Atlanta Falcons situation was just a complete mess. And that'll be a soapbox for another day. But honestly, this has to come down to how do you sustain the pipeline of quality African American coaches? It starts at the beginning when they first enter the league into coaching. What type of what type of it all begins with the pipeline. That's all I'm going to say. The Rooney Rule, interviewing candidates. I mean, it's just kind of dangling these guys. Oh, we interviewed them. Doesn't mean you're going to hire them. But anyway, but no, good one. Any thoughts before we go to Ben? But that's a good one, Gary.
Yeah, that's a really good one, and I do think that there's always like kind of two sides because it's like, can you go to any of the head coaches that were just hired and be like, you were not qualified? Probably not. Like they were qualified for the position, so you can't say like the team's made a horrible decision at the same time while acknowledging exactly what you just said. So it's like there are issues here, and it's not as simple as color. It's not as simple as black and white. There are complexities here, and the league should definitely revisit the Rooney Rule. And to Jeff's point, I think that's a really good point too, because the coaches are being groomed for head coaching positions. So maybe there's just not enough. Yeah. So it's a very complicated topic, but I'm glad you brought it up, Gary. I'm going to also talk about coaching, but I live in Massachusetts, grew up in Rhode Island, so the whole Belichick's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. The world is ending. This is this whole big deal. Like, what does this signify? People relax. Like, calm down. It's not the end of the world. He's going to get into the Hall of Fame. 50 years from now, there's going to be about 1% of people that remember that he didn't get in the first time. It's not this huge atrocity that, like, it's like, okay, yes, he was the most qualified. It'd be like Phil Jackson not getting into the NBA the first time because he has 11 championships. That's the comparison. I understand it. And should he have gotten in? Sure. Are there a lot of petty owners that didn't like that he quote-unquote cheated? 100%. But it just is not this. I think it is like a sort of like a slap in the face in a way to Belichick because you can't write the NFL's story like without Belichick. Like that part is true. But I just think such an extreme overreaction of like both things can be true at the same time. He got snubbed. There's nobody who could argue he shouldn't be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But I was just like, guys, he's going to get in. Like, make this big of a deal if he didn't get voted in, period. No one in 20, 30 years is going to remember that he didn't get in the first time. And there's no possible way he's not getting in. Belichick's getting in. And I just thought that I just thought it was an overreaction about the like, I get it. He should be in. There should be no argument. But I just thought people were just took it to a whole nother level. Like, he is going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's going to be.
Yeah, Ben, I got to give a little pushback on this because I think it's about precedent, and there are different arguments that can be made about what is a first ballot Hall of Famer versus a second, a third, or fourth ballot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bill Belichick has the most playoff wins of any head coach. I think at 31 or 32. He has 6 Super Bowls. Even if you use the Deflategate thing or the Spygate situation, the man still, and Stephen A. Smith even said it, still had 3 more Super Bowls. Even after that, his career after Spygate was still first ballot Hall of Fame worthy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. So to me, it's like, okay, if you want to X that out, the other years from 2000 and blank on, 3 more Super Bowls and a winning percentage above 65%, that's still first ballot Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. So the thing now is, what are you going to do about Tom Brady? Because if you don't have Tom Brady, I think it's a big deal because it has eroded the shine of the Hall of Fame is kind of worn off a little bit.
It's like the integrity.
Basically. Yeah, because at the end of the day, Bill Belichick, I mean, the stats are the stats. The man has 6 freaking Super Bowls. So how can you say that there are other coaches ahead of him that are more worthy? There's no other coaches moving forward that are going to be more worthy of being a first ballot Hall of Famer over him. So to me, I think it is a big deal. Being a first ballot Hall of Famer is it is no doubt sure shot Hall of Fame. So then if you do that for him, what about Tom Brady? What about him?
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting conversation when that happens.
he's it. There, I've heard the argument. If it takes Belichick an extra year, it needs to take Brady an extra year, maybe even two. I don't think it'll happen because, ratings. Bill Belichick doesn't pull ratings, but Tom Brady does. So they'll figure out a way to get around this. But Brady was the one throwing the footballs and making sure that they were deflated. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't Belichick, but
Mm.
Belichick being the leader, being the boss in charge at the time, he's going to eat that responsibility because that's what he's supposed to do. But yeah, if Belichick has to wait a year, then Brady has to at the minimum a year.
But what's your second one, Ben?
Uh,
All good points, Gary.
so I think that the Super Bowl, the amount of people that are picking Seattle by 10 plus, I just think that this is, I don't even want to say this necessarily, but the 2001 Rams, they're going for back-to-back championships. They were playing the Patriots. They were 9.5 point favorites. Kurt Warner, Isaac Bruce, Marshall Faulk, all those dudes. Patriots won that game. So I just think that, and yes, have the Seattle looked more impressive the last probably month and a half compared to the Patriots? Absolutely. I just think that it doesn't, it like, yes, it matters what led up to you getting here, but it's also, this is not a best out of seven, best out of five. This is one game. I think the amount of people and experts and everything that are just, oh, it's 10 plus, 14, 20 points. It's not going to be like, I just think that that's the easiest thing to do because the Patriots have gotten lucky to get to where they are. They've had their share of luck. Seattle's, played better and has been the better teams, from the entire year. I just think that the amount, I would say the amount of people just, it's basically not worth watching. Seattle's going to run through them 14 point, and these are like NFL experts. These are
Yeah,
analysts these are people that are that's what they do. I just think the amount of people that assume it's going to be a blowout, I think in 6 days they're going to look pretty silly, in my opinion. I don't think it's this huge mismatch because it's easy to say that because of how the Patriots have looked in the playoffs, specifically on offense. But we just said Drake May is top 2 MVP candidate. So, it just, to me, it's just the easiest conclusion is Seattle is way better. They're going to dominate them. I just don't think that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily because Seattle's so overwhelmingly better. I think it's just the way that Seattle's or for the Patriots offense is played.
Yeah.
So that could also be part of it. You know what I mean?
Has been bad. It has
I mean,
been
it just has not been good. I mean, okay, even if you take away the snow game, before that, it really wasn't that good. So again, we'll see. One a competitive one. So, but guys, we mashed it out. An hour and a half of content. Yeah, it's almost past y'all's bedtime. It's 8 o'clock here in Arizona. But it's been fun, gentlemen. 4 years. I don't know when we'll do another episode. Life kind of happens, but I'm glad that we're continuing to do this. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Um, and this has been fun. And we appreciate the people who have joined us. 4 years. I mean, not many people can say that they've done a podcast for 4 years.
exactly. Yeah, it's
You
something
know,
to be proud of for sure.
yeah, definitely. I lost count of how many episodes we've done, but
It's somewhere. It's around the 200 number, somewhere in that area.
really, Jesus.
I think it's around closer to
Somewhere
160,
close.
but yeah, it's past 150, but not quite 175. Something like that.
Between
I
150
remember we first did recordings, and the first episode was so bad we had to do it again.
Yeah,
It was
yeah. I was like, guys, we cannot post that.
like the sound was
No.
just
It was the Rams Bengals Super Bowl.
oh god, it was so terrible. But hey, you live and you learn. You live and you learn. But
But hey, you talk to any podcast, they have either that story or a worse story. So
yes,
there ain't nothing to be embarrassed about.
indeed.
Mhm.
But all right, gentlemen. To all of our listeners, we appreciate you guys for continuing to be with us on this journey. It is already February in 2026. This year is going to go by before you know it. There will be 2027, and 28, etc. So, guys, peace and love. Y'all be easy. And as always, Hail Von Miller.